Hey, what's going on, everyone? Astrologer Eric Rosen here. This is your sun sign and, of course, rising sign and moon sign horoscopes for the month of May. If you'd like to get deep, you want to go just beyond just what your zodiac sun sign is, you can look at that rising sign too. You can look at that moon sign. This is where I give you some tidbits on how to navigate this upcoming astrology for the whole month of May, how it impacts you on a little bit more of a deeper personal level. You know, there's collective astrology that impacts all of us. There's super personal astrology that hits, you know, your natal birth chart and your other charts based upon your birthday as a person, which is a much deeper thing. Of course, you can always book a reading with me to go into that, but this is like kind of like more in the middle based upon what is that sun sign, what is that rising sign, what is that moon sign. So it's a little bit deeper into personal guidance. It doesn't go super deep into like exactly what's going on for you, but it gives you enough train of thought, I think, to help you navigate what's coming up for the month of May. And so I'm excited because this month, the theme is renewal. It's really interesting astrology. Almost everything is focused on the last and then the first two zodiac signs. So Pisces being the last, and then Aries and Taurus. And so this looks at what house is Pisces, Aries, Taurus for you based upon your chart of what your signs are. So as always, we start off with Aries. And so Aries, you know, the renewal this month is definitely going to very much look like focus on yourself, focus on what you have, the basics, gratitude, you know, letting go of past stuff that's just deep in misunderstanding. I think you almost have to do a subconscious purge and just be like, you know what, just let me start with the basics. Like, what do I have? Oh, I have this pen. I can write a forgiveness letter to that person and I can let the past go, or maybe I was being rude to them. You know, it's going, well, there's things that I want to create too, but it's like, start off with like, what do you maybe need to release, Aries? I feel like there's like some gunk, you know, where it's like, you know, we're used to just putting gas in the gasoline tank of our cars, right? So we can just keep going. It's a very Aries-like quality, but sometimes you got to run some fuel system cleaner, you know, through it so that it actually cleans the gasoline in the tank so it's not picking up gunk and deposits. And metaphorically speaking, now it's messing with your mind and your perception of things and actually being able to create your best stuff. Because with Taurus being your second house, this is definitely where you want to put your best foot forward with what you're creating. This is finance. This is building bridges with others, but you almost have to be at your best self, Aries. And so I would not be afraid to really just like let go of the stuff that's not serving you, that's especially anything from the past, and just go full blown into moving into the new, especially with Mars coming home to your sign. That way you're not looking at too much of a big picture that's not even what's right in front of you. And then you can still go and actually start creating your best stuff. So if you want to go deeper into that, you can always book a natal chart reading or a deep dive astrology reading as well, where we look at how the transits are hitting your natal chart. So moving on to Taurus. Taurus, really big month for you, Taurus, because this is it. This is the last month of having Jupiter in your sign, the big expander. It's already met with Uranus, and so it was definitely here to help you in the exponential growth and positivity and potential of yourself, of, I think, being a magnetizer and attractor to create, seeing like how you can actually manifest by just being the best version of yourself. Definitely got to watch for the pitfalls of, you know, what your intuition is telling you, that maybe your intuition's not always taking you to the best place, but maybe more it's been based upon an old crotchety belief and like trust issues, and to make sure that like you really believe in the world being your oyster and that you need people to connect with to create and grow your best things. Like community is the chef's kiss. It's the creme de la creme for whatever it is that you want to do. The people that you serve, the people that are helping support you with your visions. It's like, I know that you're getting them, Taurus. I know that God has dropped in and shown you bigger things. I don't want you to fall into the, oh, that's someday category. It's like, no, you know, align this hybrid model of like being your best version of yourself now and vibrating at being that person as if you already were in that vision. You know, this is a very Joe Dispenza-like thing. It's like start living as if the person, as if it already materialized, and so you can magnetize it. And then the other hybrid piece is still definitely having a humble component to it, that you don't get so engorged in your own ego that you start like pushing people away and thinking that you can do things on your own. You definitely want to stay away from that, Taurus. So I really think the renewal for you is very much like looking at going, okay, the renewal can be trust in people. The renewal can be a bigger expansive belief system of where the world can go, and like just starting off with the pureness of abundance and like no contrast of duality, like not making people wrong or this situation in the world wrong, and just seeing it as like you can do anything that you want, Taurus. You've got a big skill set, and so let the visions God has shown you define where you want to go, as opposed to be like, no, I don't like this thing, or I don't like this people, or I don't want to do that thing. And it's like, what's the divine showing you? Like that's the renewal, is like it's actually less distractions, you know, and overcomplicated things, by just going with what the vision is of what you've already been seeing showing up. So if you want to go deeper into that, you can always jump into a natal chart reading with me, but especially deep dive astrology reading to see how the current astrology is impacting your natal chart. Well, Gemini, love you, Gemini. You guys have an interesting time ahead, because you've got Jupiter finishing out in your 12th house, so it can feel like a big release, a big positive one. I think Jupiter in your 12th has been great because it's probably produced a lot of sense of abundance, you know, in terms of your subconscious, of feeling protected, almost like kind of feeling like lucky, you know, like falling into a bed of roses even when you trip up, and always still finding your way. So this is preparing you for when the spotlight is going to be more on you, for starting to grow and expand your thinking and seeing what you can do better within yourself to honor your direction. And I would say, you know, your decisions of like, this is me, this is what I want, this is where I'm going. But for now, it's writing out the journey of what God's been showing you to just, you know, finish off this renewal piece of like, He's helping you with your healing. He's helping you get clarity, especially I think where you want to go with your longer term destiny, you know, big career, big goals. It's definitely going to involve people, although you can maybe feel like the odd man out sometimes in groups of people, and that's okay. Like Geminis, you're meant to be kind of like, you know, kind of weird anyway, you know, with like being stimulated and what you like to talk about, and kind of like, you know, only staying when things feel good. And that's totally fine, because you're actually a really good poster child for showing people what it's like when it's like, yeah, if you're bored, like, why are you doing it? You know, it's like before I started filming these horoscopes today, I was like, oh, I need to go get this thing done. And I started, and it was like my energy's like dipping, and it's like, and then my Chiron and Gemini energy like percolated and was like, this isn't what I want to like focus on and manifest right now. So these are good qualities, you know, for you Gemini, of like, put the focus of the stimulus towards what's God saying, what's the intuition been saying, that, you know, these bigger, more expansive visions of where you can take things with those bigger goals and people. And, you know, I think some of it for you, Gemini, it's almost like the renewal is just like kind of towing the line. Just keep doing what you've already been doing that's been working, and don't get distracted, you know, by things. I would say the renewal is almost like the elimination of any distractions that have maybe been, you know, coming up of like, well, what about this, or what about this? And it's like, that's you inherently, Gemini, but it's like, let Jupiter come, you know, into Gemini, into your sign later this month first, for you to like get a clearer picture and understanding of that. Like your qualities of yourself, Gemini, aren't going to shift. And so it's almost just like whatever the divine has just been showcasing more for you, that's felt more like it has tremendous value, that it's long-term, that it's connected to people. Like keep going in those directions and seeding those things, because the thing is when Jupiter does shift and comes into Gemini, it's kind of like, oh, now it's a little bit more, you know, focused on yourself and new direction. So it's almost like finish up what you've started, you know, Gemini, because you know, the problem is like if you don't get done what is in front of you and then you try to go back and you want to do stuff later on and then you feel unaccomplished because now the divine timing is past and you didn't accomplish that thing. So it's like, you know, get your projects done, Gemini. I think that's the best thing you can do for yourself right now. When it comes to, oh, excuse me. Yeah, if you want to go deeper, Gemini too, you can always get a natal chart reading just to see your birth characteristics. And if you want to see how this current astrology is really hitting you and how to navigate this on a more deeper personal level, you can book a deep astrology reading with me. Those links will be somewhere around this video. So when it comes to Cancers, our beloved Cancers, Cancer, I think you've been doing a better job of showing up, you know, especially to your responsibilities to people. I think maybe you've got some tweaks that you need to maybe do in the belief system, making sure that, yeah, if it's going to be a spiritual belief system, that it's at least like working out for you. You know, your quality connections are everything. You know, the type of people you're allowing yourself to connect with in the worlds, worlds, that might have been a Freudian slip. You might have multiple worlds, you know, going on, Cancer. And I think you got to decide, you know, which one do you want to be in, which groups of people do you want to be around. The Jupiter-Uranus conjunction, I think, should have produced a breakthrough of like the quality people that you're meant to connect with. And so I don't want you to go into some like freeze response that it's like too much overwhelm or there's too much excitement on like how that's going to look. It's like, just set your plans in motion, like set your goals in motion for the biggest, best spiritual vision that you can dream up, Cancer, that, you know, hopefully you've been really reflecting on over this past month, especially since the solar eclipse. And that, you know, once you start to define, you know, what these bigger things are and where you're going and the steps to get there, the plan to get there, you're naturally going to see where people fit in and where you're going to need high quality people. The last thing I want you to do, Cancer, is to keep settling for like low quality connections and people that like you feel like, I don't know why, it reminds me of like following a kid who's nauseous and you keep like mopping up his throw up, and it's like, just send him to the nurse, like send him to someone that wants to deal with that. Like you've got bigger things, you know, to do than just like, yeah, like you have friends, you have people that you want to be empathetic with and that they're not feeling well, Cancer, but like make your plans of empathy and connection and care for others like matter. Like this is a little bit more legacy orientation. Like the thing should definitely be the spotlight on your career, you know, not any sense of like laziness or just like, well, this is my comfort zone. This is where, you know, I like to be. And it's like, well, I get that, Cancer, but it's like, there are times where the crab outgrows its shell and it has to leave and it's sensitive for a little bit because it doesn't have its protection, right? Cancer is the crab. And then it has to go find a bigger shell. So go find a bigger shell, Cancer. If you want to know more about you, you want to get a natal chart reading, you can pop into those links around this video. If you want to know how this current astrology is impacting you at the deepest of levels, you can schedule a deep astrology reading with me on that. So Leos, I've been having a tough time, Leo. I know you're towing your head above water, and that's good. You know, really, it's the expansion of your biggest goals, where you want to go. That should be apparent by now. Even if it's subconscious, even if you've just been shown the vision, you're still trying to connect it to the actual physical expression of it, like that's okay. You know, I think things are going to get a little bit more clear on how to connect that on more of a worldview, especially when Jupiter comes into Gemini later this month. But, you know, Leo, I want you to, you know, pay attention. You know, trust issues with people is a thing to, you know, make sure that you're not like wishy-washy, especially around like deeper commitments. Like Leo, you know, if you say that you're really going to do something, I know you're really good at doing it. I want you to, though, start thinking about it like this. Like, there are resources, okay? There are supplies. They're mostly going to come from you and how you choose to connect to your magic, to your life force energy, to meet those longer term goals. So when you say yes and that you're going to go do something, Leo, and you start on it, I want you to also be saying yes to like the supply chain within yourself, like whether that's the right people you're going to connect with, you know, some type of rhythm, routine, you know, that's going to show up for you, so that like it's not just like I said yes and then you go until you get tired, but it's, I'm just going to say it's kind of like orgasmic, like yes, yes, yes. You know, it's like you should have things connected so that you're supported. You could think of this as a marathon race too, for another metaphor, where it's like they give like the Gatorade, you know, the refreshments every so often, but create your life that those refreshments are constantly along every step of the way. That way you're constantly feeling resourced and abundant with like marching towards those goals, so that you don't have these gaps in between. So I think the renewal, Leo, I wouldn't call this so much of a self-care thing as much as I would call it, you know, which I mean, there is some self-care that the full moon in Scorpio brought up of like maybe where you could definitely do a better job of that and around your family. But it's like the self-care pieces should already have been showing up. And so I think now it's just like putting things into motion to where it serves your external, you know, reality of things, and to like not sleep on like making any shifts or changes, any transformations, just any greater levels of awareness of like, oh, I see where I can get the slop out of my life to like meet my goals easier, instead of just, you know, because Leos is like, you tend to be really good at self-love anyway, and you don't like really tend to get down on yourself, right? But it's like you don't want to use like that I'm a Leo and I love myself no matter what, as like some accidental workaround just to get the next thing done, when you could actually not only be sustaining your passion and self-love for your energy levels, but then you're the best embodiment of Leo because you ripple that energy, that passion outwardly, that inspires others to have fun and be with their inner child and create and do all the most awesome things in life. So if you want to learn more about you on a personal level, Leo, you can always book a natal chart reading or jump into a deep dive astrology reading to see how this current astrology is affecting you. Those links will be somewhere around this video. As we round into the end of the summer seasons with Virgo, I love you, Virgo. I do. My son's a Virgo. He's great. You guys represent the purity, you know, of things, like the innocence, the harvest. I think the renewal for you is definitely going to be with your thinking, you know, of your expansion of a better belief system, you know, and like purifying that component of it, making sure that it's positive, you know, that there's no doubt, there's no negativity. You don't have room for that, Virgo, because it's like, I know that you're going to tend to analyze and try to like make things perfect, you know, and you like to build from like the little details of things. So at least like have a positive approach to it, because, you know, where the stress and the overwhelm sets in for Virgo right now is like when there is negativity and doubt, and then it like shuts you down. And then, so it's like you want to go build something, but then like, you know, you're like frozen, like your muscles like almost like don't want to move. So, you know, you could always do some stretching, Virgo, to like work that stuff out. I definitely feel like communication, your partnerships, sharing your visions, sharing your deeper why, talking a little bit more abstract in the relationships that you're connected to, especially the ones that you trust, you know, that you can even trust yourself to stand alone in the communication of your vision and your beliefs and not be attached to how people receive it, because you don't need to get some validation that, you know, it's positive enough or that it's a pure enough thing or that you need some type of fix or course correction, Virgo, because you have enough of that, I think, going on inherently at a basic instinctual level. It's like, just remember, like, you're already the pure vessel of the divine as a Virgo. It's like you don't need to trip yourself out of trying to figure out bigger, complex things that actually have already been figured out, and now it's actually just about the consistency of executing those visions. And so use people as a sounding board to kind of like keep you on track and don't be scared. You know, don't be upset too if like things aren't showing up, or like you're feeling like you're trying to build something and you don't have the right materials or supplies, Virgo. That's really just honestly where a component of just like paying a little bit closer attention to the consistency in your own patterns of like where you can show up better to the things that you're already saying yes to. So you just keep doing these things, keep the positive belief, be the student of life, you know, approach things as if you're going to become the master teacher of whatever it is that you really like and you're involved in. And then it's in that notion actually that you stay consistent, because it's like, oh, well, if I'm going to like teach this to people, if I'm going to have to communicate this to people, if I'm going to have to like be this thing, you know, so this could bring up, you know, beliefs around work ethic, but I think you've got it, Virgo. I think it's just keep having conversations with people, because they're really going to help you. You know, the ones that you trust, they're going to be the reflective soundboard. So the renewal is definitely going to be in how much do you trust people to be supportive of your visions. That's I think, you know, where you got to pray and ask for more of that in your reality. Of course, if you want to get a natal chart reading to find out a little bit more about your just inherent characteristics, what makes you tick, Virgo, that's unique to you, you can get a natal chart reading. That link will be somewhere around this video, as well as a deep dive astrology reading. If you want to see how is this current astrology impacting you at the deepest personal level, how to navigate that, how to get guidance forward, you can find that link around this video as well. So well, Libra, I definitely think that this is, you know, if there's any sign that's ready for a renewal, Libra, it's you. I think you've been going through it. I think you've been going through the stressed out ringer. I think that you're having some fear issues, trust issues. I think you've realized like where some of your bonds were low quality, and now you're connecting to partnerships that are meant to be a bond that actually are fucking quality, that are actually going to take you to places. Pardon my French, but you know, Libra, you know, you're the sign right now that can't just stay in a comfort zone of places of just your own self, of just like, well, this is what peace and harmony is. It's like, no, fuck that. Like, you got to actually go to war in your partnerships in terms of like what you're determined for. And when I say war, I don't mean like fighting against people or fighting against their beliefs or their value systems or how their reality works. I think it's more about you setting your boundaries, you know, where the war piece is like not, like you're a messenger, Libra. It's like you're not meant to be there with the assault rifle and the bayonet and getting too close to people and then stabbing them with the bayonet when, you know, it feels like an unhealthy situation and you're feeling afraid. It's more about sending the message, you know, being the messenger at war that sends it to the other side. It's like just the neutrality of it. Like, here's my boundaries, or here's my offering. You do this, I do this. What do you think? You know, can we end this war? Can we resolve this conflict? I know that's a lot of what's coming up for a lot of Libras right now. It's definitely, you know, asserting yourself individually in your partnerships in a really interesting way. So, you know, I don't think you need to reinvent the wheel, Libra. I think it's just coming back to the basics of knowing just the littlest, simplest things of what you need right now for any resets that you've went through, and then putting that out there to people so they know what's up in those relationships. So, you know, if you want to get deeper into what makes you tick, Libra, you can get a natal chart astrology reading, or if you want to see how this current astrology is kind of wailing on you, but how to see the positive things going forward for these next few months, you can book a deep dive astrology reading. Both links will be around this video, probably below the video. Moving on to Scorpio. Well, Scorpio, hate to pick on you, Scorpio, but like, did you fuck it up? Your relationships, I mean, you had a big awakening, I guess you could say, moment, kind of a high alert moment that really, raised probably some flags, especially in your relationships, especially romantic based. Now, if you're single, this would be where are you feeling disconnected, like there's not more positive bridges in your relationships, or if you're in them, either way. This brings up things around self-love. This brings up things around, hey, your reality might be designed to get by on a day-to-day basis, and that's good. But remember, there's still like a longer term piece of this too, Scorpio. So I think your renewal piece is just like accepting anywhere where you've deceived yourself, anywhere where you haven't been in full integrity in your relationships, where you've been putting an illusion of like what peace and happiness and harmony looks like in your relationships. But then you're getting the feedback, and now you're having to make changes in your reality because the identity that you've been showing up as hasn't been at the highest level of mastery, integrity, and service to not only yourself, but also anyone that you connect with and help. So this is about helping others by helping yourself, Scorpio, to, if it feels like there's any messes, like this could be anything, your schedule, it could be your health, it could be, just your environment of like, your thinking and your mental processing things, taking better care of yourself in those areas, to, the renewal of just like, okay, the basics, like, let me like reconnect to what is it that I need to change based upon any feedback that you've especially gotten in, relationship situations. If your heart is feeling like it's on the mend, or it's like broken, or like you're trying to like find the love and the happiness and the blissed out feelings again, like you'll get there, Scorpio. But I want you to imagine, that, yeah, you like to go fast and get there and get the hell yeah, I'm a Scorpio, like I'm so fulfilled and satisfied, and maybe what's the next thing? But it's like, if you're blasting off somewhere, like make sure that your rocket has everything. It's got the fuel, like everything's stitched back together. It's like, you can't be the technician that works on a shuttle that's like, yeah, it's good enough. And then as soon as it like leaves the Earth's atmosphere, it's like breaking apart. And it's like, well, you can't go very far, Scorpio. So be okay with taking this time as a renewal space, for your mind, for your health, just your overall well-being. And trust that, anything that shows up, your relationships will only get better, life will only get better, the passion, the love, the creativity for life, romance, any type of relationship, business, just it all gets better from you, like not bypassing just the things that have been coming up that you just need to like switch up and address. So, it's an interesting time for Scorpios. So if you want to get more data, if you want to learn more about you, Scorpio, just in terms of what makes you tick, that's unique to you, do natal chart readings. And of course, if you want to see exactly this month and the months coming up, even the next year ahead, do a deep dive astrology reading, how's this current astrology impacting you specifically based upon your birth chart, you can book either one of those types of readings I just described. You can check out those links around this video. So, well, Sagittarius, I feel like you might be in a little bit of an interesting calibration period, Sag, kind of like a retooling, almost like a slowing down to become more efficient, to become more focused by almost expanding into like what you already have and just making things more efficient of like what it is that you're already doing. This is definitely going to involve, taking care of yourself, taking care of the family, taking care of your roots, right? Like if there's any place that you've been expanding rapidly in your reality, Sag, or any area of life, it's like now it's time to, put the Band-Aids on. Like, are there some places, like maybe you need like the nicotine patch to wean yourself off of a way of like how you've been showing up, and it's just time for more of a therapeutic sort of reset, especially for your mind, I would say this is a time where Sagittarius can almost like learn to communicate a little bit from a softer place, that's more empathetic, that's reflective of the level of self-care that you're doing for yourself. So it's almost like you're letting your interpersonal inner world speak more into the outer world. And then there's like, you're not having to like convince people or persuade people or like, whether that's family, romance, kids, tribe, people, just like whatever it is, like the pureness of whatever it is that you're communicating is just more reflective of from, you could call it an embodied space, but the embodiment's hard to do if our mind, your mind is moving faster than the actual body, right? Like the body talks and tells you what it is that you're actually needing, whereas the mind is like, oh, go here, do this thing, and this thing, and say this, and go expand here. So that's the self-care piece. It's like pay attention more to like what's going on with your health, your physical body. It's definitely not a time to like try to go out and expand like crazy, Sagittarius. It's almost like the expansion is just in, I don't want to call it introverting, but it's almost just like keep feeding yourself with light and gratitude of the things that you know that you like need, like your truest needs. Like imagining if the next step and action that you took was gonna reflect the next 20 years of your life, like what would be that next step? Would it actually be reaching out to a person you haven't talked to in months, because you tend to like to be social, or is it going and picking, flowers in your own backyard, with your kids or something like that, Sag? So it's like there's a lot more of like the domestic, local environment, day-to-day reality pieces of things, and not so much like reaching way the heck out there for things. And then by the end of the month, I think you'll see that the reason that you got those things calibrated is because, you can like build stronger bridges, stronger connections in your existing partnerships. And when you find what you actually like about your partnerships, instead of like searching for other types of connections that maybe you're searching for, you just naturally attract in more of that likeness without even having to find it. It just, the bridge is built, but the bridge got built because you took this time to take care of yourself, Sag. So if you want to know more about what makes you tick, you can get a natal chart astrology reading, or you can do a deep dive astrology reading and find out how this current astrology is impacting you, Sag. So those links will be around this video if you would like to book that. Well, last three signs, moving on now to Capricorn. Well, Capricorn, I would jokingly say there ain't no party like a Capricorn party, but the truth is, Capricorn, do you know how to have fun? The Jupiter-Uranus conjunction taught you, yes, you can have breakthroughs of passion and, manifestation and money and things like that, and things probably connected to business, because I know you care about that, Capricorn. But are you giving the time for your inner child? I don't want you to leave your inner child in the dust in terms of like the reawakening, the passion, the deep work that I know is going on there for you, Capricorn, of like pulling up any old roots about, your ancestry, your family life, like your family life now, your family life growing up that like led you to be a certain way that you grew up as a child. Capricorns tend to like kind of have a lot of like wisdom, responsibility, kind of like even in their younger years, and they go through certain sets of challenges because you're inherently a Capricorn. So this has been really a time of renewal, Capricorn, for you to play around a little bit more with your value systems, of your creativity, to not get so like, concreted into your old ways of doing things, or especially getting attached to like your goals and outcomes, like, because that's your dry zone right now, Capricorn, where the inner child is not satisfied, and then your business, your money situations aren't working, is when you start endgaming right now. So, there are hybrid ways, right? It's like go have fun with the inner child, go do fun things. I don't know, climb a tree if you can, go, play games with kids, do stuff that's like not tied to business or an outcome or like checking a box, some responsibility, accountability thing. You just do it for fun, which I'm a Capricorn. I got to do more of that too. I got to get on that. And it's like, you know, you do these things to put yourself in different environmental states of awareness, to have these like little light bulb moments to see like, oh, maybe that is my value system. Maybe I do find success and happiness and fun in this, so that you're not living from the old zone of your roots, of your conditioning, and that of like how happiness used to be or fun used to be, knowing that those things don't serve you anymore. They got crushed the last 16 years of Pluto and Capricorn. So you're almost in an exploratory state now, Capricorn, where, you know, don't overcommit to anything and endgame stuff. Just like find what feels in flow and fun and still keeps you grounded. And, you know, and the hybrid piece of like when you're not just playing with the inner child just for the sake of it, it's like make him your, you know, her, your chief operating officer, your COO, or it's like they help you, you turn to them, you ask them questions, you know? So it's like, because the worst thing you could do right now, Capricorn, is just like stay in like some weird traditions of your goals in your career that's not even, that it was almost like some like judge gave you that, you know, like someone who was like probably judgy in your life, like that it wasn't even you, like past judgment, and was like, oh yeah, go out and make this your big goal or your upper echelon. And it's like, did that even originate from within you? So this is about exploring your values to find out what's original in you, Capricorn, so you can actually be the captain genuinely of your own life, and not some, you know, poster child of your own propaganda from something that came from your past conditioning, or, you know, the things that were getting fed to you growing up or something, and that's just all that you're doing. So it's a radical time of healing, but I would call it more of an innocent time of like fresh grass, green growth, you know, where it's like grassroots, where you're just starting things anew. And even if you're not sure where that's going, it's like you just come back to the core understanding of asking the question over and over again, like, what is love? What does love look like? And I mean life. I don't just mean romance, Caps. If you want to find out more about you, Capricorn, you can get a natal chart reading. If you really want to go deep, find out how this current astrology is hitting home for you, you can get a deep astrology reading. Both links will be around this video. So moving on to Aquarius, well, Aquarius, people think you're a water sign, but you're not. You're an air sign. So I know you tend to process, you tend to think. What I really want you to be, I would say, doing more of, though, is like more of the emotional embodiment piece. I think your breakthrough hopefully came already on the emotional home front, even if it looked like a storm of like water rushing into the home. Your emotional foundation, you know, understanding your deeper needs. I think the renewal piece is definitely going to be in like going, okay, well, I can't figure out everything right now, especially with Pluto going retrograde in your sign and then leaving your sign for a bit and going back into the 12th house of Capricorn, right? So it's like you're not going to be able to figure out, you know, this new you fully. You're just getting a taste, right? Like there's so much more that's going to unravel these next 20 years. So you almost have to like be okay with the renewal of like, well, let me just create with the best quality talents that I know that I have, right? That should be very service, spiritually minded. And then going, you know, well, if I get scared or if I'm not sure of my next step, just go into your process of connecting deeper, more with your family or self-care, just so that there's just a constant renewal. I almost like feel this for you, Aquarius, where there's like this thing where it's like, it's a bad thing when it's like, oh yeah, you're just trying to keep your head above water. And it's like, whatever feels scary for you right now, it's almost like go towards that. It's like you want to submerge your body to where your head's just above water, because at least you're in the water, and it's like it's a cleansing element, right? And it's like, even if it's not the perfect, it's not like, I don't know, like Kangen water, Aquafina water, it's lake water. It's like, well, at least like wash the barnacles off of you of like the thinking Aquarius piece of like where I think you guys have spun your tires a little bit too much and haven't like really moved things forward, you know, because like some fears or something, maybe around it, like, is it good enough? Like, can I really create this? You know, just like, has there been private doubts that you're not sharing with people? And so it's really that. It's just come back to like the self-care piece of like, you should not feel out of balance, Aquarius. I don't want you to think that like feeling just half your best is like the new norm or something. It's like, do what you have to do to like change the gears up. And it's also not just about being exciting and going hard on the external all the time. It's very much not that. It's going to be way more about you connecting, you know, on a level of like your tree roots of the nourishing support so that, you know, you don't burn yourself out and then realize that you were just going out, being excited and connecting out in the world and doing things, but it wasn't really what you valued. So if you want to find out more about you, Aquarius, you can always get a natal chart reading. And then if you want to find out how this current astrology is hitting home, deep dive astrology readings available as well. Both links will be around this video. Well, last but not least, we got Pisces in the house. Well, Pisces, renewal breakthroughs, I think, with your environments, you know, your thinking. This is definitely a time of like letting go of, I would say, your identifications of how you think things should progress forward, your next steps, your next actions, almost like getting to maybe pie in the sky, like wishful thinking about things, and that you're taking some steps forward now that feels, you know, a little bit, I guess you could say, stronger, like more rooted in terms of where you can go with things. I think trust is a big factor for you, Pisces. Like whatever decisions that you're making right now, that at least like putting yourself in fresh environments, the renewal of environments, the renewal of your thinking, right? Because like your environments, your thinking, they're very similar, right? Being in new places, it changes our perspective, but we can also attract new opportunities of new environments through shifting our perspective. So it's like wherever you're at, Pisces, if things are feeling stale, you know, if you need some freshness, you need some release, you need some more excitement in life, and the new environment hasn't shown up or the environment hasn't changed that feels more fun, more stimulating, then change your thinking first to attract that. Now, if you're in the new environments, I would say don't take it for granted, you know, really appreciate it for what it is, like not casting any judgments or, you know, be careful about any superiority stuff. Cause I mean, that's one of Pisces' secrets is like very loving, but then you'll hear this other side of them in private conversations, almost like innocent, the way a white lie is innocent, where it's like they say something about someone or like cast a judgment. And so you don't want to like be that Pisces. Like it's more just about your faith, your renewal, and like what can come from whatever steps that it is that you're taking. It's a very, very long, you know, journey ahead, Pisces, you know, that you have ahead of you, and there'll be plenty of time for being shown when the time is to hermit. And I think right now this is a little bit of a time of you stepping out of like hermitage and knowing that as Pluto starts to go back towards Capricorn by the fall, that's your 11th house of people. So it's like you're wrapping up the Aquarius 12th house energy for now with Pluto going retrograde. And so there's really nothing else to do or people to retreat from right now. I think it's more you've been shown who you want to connect with more, the types of places you want to be in the world. So it's like, just like, you know, if you're hesitating on a decision to go to those places, I would just go there. I would go all in, be like, this is what I'm doing. Even if it's temporary, Pisces, like it's okay if things like don't feel permanent right now. I mean, let's see, Aries, Gemini, yeah. So, I mean, it's one of those things where it's like, it's okay if you don't have the end all be all thing figured out. We just want to get you to a place where it's like you're just interacting with life in like a fun, loving way that's, you know, at least somewhat expanding into some new doors and new horizons for you, because that's going to be the best, most positive thing I feel for you right now this month, Pisces. So if you want to get some perspective on your birth chart, your natal chart, to find out what makes you tick, you can click on that link that's around this video for that, and also a deep dive astrology reading to showcase like, oh wait, here's how this greater astrology is impacting me. You know, you want to look at the next few months ahead, like whatever you want to look at, Pisces, I'm here for it. So you can book that as well. So that's it for May. That's your zodiac signs for the month. You know, the thing that's been coming up the most this month is Napoleon Hill, like Think and Grow Rich, like think and be, you know, prosper. Like, I feel like a lot of the renewal energy for prosperity, because that really is like the theme of this month, is going to be generating your best forms of wealth, is definitely going to come from going into these renewal spaces that I mentioned in the video, to at least examine those things. And even if it doesn't like click right away, just like doing some self-examination and going, okay, what's he referring to? Where does this show up in my life? You know, do some free writing journaling. It's like with these horoscopes, you know, if it's not consciously readily apparent exactly what to do with it, it's like take what is given and be your own detective. Use the remaining energy of this full moon in Scorpio to be your own emotional, intuitive detective, to go deeper into yourself, to, you know, unpack the subjects that I'm, you know, pointing you in the direction of. Because the truth is that, you know, money, renewal, prosperity, like there's so many matrix like, our, you know, belief systems that were just handed down from generations, and we're cleaning up a lot of that in our ancestral lineage, that it's worth the time, it's worth the effort to go deeper into, to find out what's a more intrinsic form of prosperity on all levels, not just financial, but things like our health, our relationships, our mental health, all of it, that's sustainable, that's actually connected to, dare I say, the codes that are inherent to you, that come from the earth. Like this idea that Mother Earth does not like leave any of her children out. Like those are socio-economical paradigms, that you have everything within you to create and find prosperity. And so the renewal is also the faith in the self, of like finding out what that unique form of prosperity is. So if you listen to this video this far, you've went this deep, anyone that wants to book a reading with me, we can absolutely pull up your prosperity gene key to get even deeper into that prosperity piece of like how that shows up for you uniquely as an individual. So, all right, love you all. Till next month. Yeah, May is a wrap. Sun sign, rising sign, moon sign horoscopes. Till next time, take care.